Hello and welcome to this video about AQA's English Language for GCSE Paper 1 Question 3. This is going to be focusing on structure. Now for many people, structure is probably the most challenging aspect to comment on and analyse in this paper. However, I would recommend that you approach this with enthusiasm and motivation that out of all things you are going to master today, structure is going to be the one that you are going to get. It will be hard, but it will be worth the challenge. So, answering structure. Structure can be broken down into two key questions: what and why. What technique is being used and what is being shown as a result of using that technique, and why. Why does the writer want to use that particular technique? What is it that they want you to learn? Why are they showing you these things? So the techniques themselves can be broken down into a few stereotypical or traditional methods. These are the most common ones that will appear in any piece of text. In this video, we will not look at a specific piece of text, but the techniques and the methods used will be the same. So take a moment to read through these. Establishes. Sets up or introduces something to the audience, often a character or a new setting. Zooms in, looks at the close detail of something, e.g. facial expression, pieces of clothing, tiny details. Zooms out, shows size comparison and where things are in relation to each other. For example, are two characters close or are they far away in the setting? Focus, what is it our attention is meant to be on? Were we looking at one character and now another? Were we looking at one part of a setting, a room, and now we're looking at a different part of the room? Tension. This sits at the core of every story. All stories come with a sense of feeling, of risk, of danger, of something to be lost. And this often increases. However, sometimes it can fade away. It's important to be aware of both of these. And finally, as a bit of stretch and challenge, tone. Tone refers to the emotional ambience or mood of a scene. It can be comical, serious, threatening, romantic, and these will shift throughout the story. It can have a dramatic change to how a reader will feel about the text if the tone changes with it. So let's see these being used in action. So rather than using a piece of text, we're going to be using images. And this is an image from the Lord of the Rings movie. So in this particular image, we can see that there is a large creature chasing some smaller human-sized people as they run away. In this image, we can see that one of those characters has stayed their ground and the beast is facing them head on. In this one, we can see that we're focusing specifically on that character. We can see his facial expressions and see what he's thinking. Now we've switched and we are now looking at the creature's reaction. Finally, we see that the bridge that the creature and the character were standing on has given way and the creature has fallen down into the shadows. So how do we put this into our what and why? Well, first let's look at our very first image, the characters running away from the creature. So our what is happening? What technique is being used? Well, in this case, the camera is establishing that the creature is chasing them and that it is much bigger than they are. It's also telling us that these characters are very, very clearly in danger. And this is the why. Why establish these things? Well, it creates a clear sense of danger and raises the tension. None of the characters are strong enough to fight this creature, and so it poses a real threat to them. Therefore, the best option for them is to run away. In our next image, as we can see the single character standing up against the creature. So what is happening? Well, in this case, our focus moves from the group of people to a single character, in this case, the character known as Gandalf, now standing and facing the creature. But why? Well, this shows us that the real danger is now between this single character and the creature. This creates the tension even more as we can see that this character is now facing this creature alone, unaided. The camera has now changed yet again and it has zoomed in. So we've now zoomed into from the whole battle to fighting characters face, in this case Gandalf. But why? Why would the director decide to do this? Well, the why, this shows us how Gandalf looks emotionally scared, but also determined to fight this creature. He has no look in his face that he's going to be running away. And as readers, it's important that we're aware of that. How the creature reacts. We zoom in again. We have shifted our focus. We've changed our focus and zoomed in from the character's face to the creature's face. Why? Well, this shows us how threatening and unintimidated the creature is by this single character. This raises the tension because we know that it is likely that the character and the creature are going to be attacking each other, and we don't know if this character is going to survive. In this final image, we see that the character thinks he has escaped, however, gets caught by the whip at the last minute. So in terms of technique, the what, the writer zooms out from the character's face and the creature's face to show the creature falling into the shadows below and his whip catching the character's foot. Why? This highlights that the danger is first leaving as the creature falls into the shadows, and that our character is now safe. But this quickly turns and the tension instantly increases when we realize the battle is not yet over, as the whip catches our character's foot. So that's how I want you to start implementing this technique. What is happening with the technique in there, and why is it happening? So I'm going to show you a traditional Tom and Jerry cartoon in 6 clips. I want you to try and figure out the what and why for each of the images. Image number 1, what is going on? What's the technique being used? And why is it being used? Image number 2, what is the technique? Why is it being used? What are we learning? Image number 3, what's changed? What has our focus now changed to? What are we doing now and why? What have we learned? What's happened? What are we focusing on and why? Finally, what's the technique? What's happened? And why is it important that we know this? You may want to pause the video at this point and have a go at writing down the answers for these 6 images. What and why? Don't forget to include the technique. Okay, let's see how you did. Your answers will not be exactly to this. However, if they are close, well done. So in our first image, our what? We're establishing the 2 main characters of the cat and mouse and show the clear size difference between them. Why? It makes us begin to think about what to expect as cats stereotypically chase mice. You might find that your answer merges between your what and why. But this is fine as long as you are including something along these lines. Our next image, the mouse with his cheese, we have zoomed in on one character's face, the mouse, when he has his cheese. Why have we done that? This shows us that he's comfortable, relaxed, and happy that he has his cheese. This is important to us in the story as he's clearly unaware of any sense of danger, so the tension at the moment is quite low. However, this image suddenly changes the story. We've now shifted and zoomed in on the cat's face from the mouse's happy face. The cat is also quite pleased. However, there is an evil smile. Why is it important the writer has done this? Well, it shows that the cat has a clear evil intention and has not yet been spotted by the mouse, and thus begins to raise the tension. We've now shifted and zoomed out, so we can see the two characters in comparison again. We can see the cat holding the mouse by the tail as the mouse tries to run away. Why show this? Why zoom out? Well, this shows us the clear size and power difference between the cat and the mouse. The tension has increased dramatically as it looks like there is no way the mouse can escape. However, in the next image, the tone has now changed. So we've still stayed focused on the cat and the mouse and the clear size difference. But what has changed is the tone. No longer is it a sense of danger for the mouse, but almost comical situation in that the larger cat is hurt. This shows us that the situation has an unexpected change, making us more interested in the abilities of this mouse to be able to beat the cat. On our last image, we've zoomed back in. So we zoom in on the cat's face and show him bruised and beaten. But why do that? Well, it shows us that the mouse clearly hit with some force and is not to be messed with. So our earlier fears for his danger and increase in tension were in fact not needed. Although, as readers, we felt them anyway, because we stereotype cats and mice to be a very one-sided battle. So how did you do? You may not have these exactly word for word, but you should be pretty close. In terms of writing these up, I recommend using these following sentence starters. At the beginning, or middle, or end, the writer uses, and this is where your what answer goes. You tell me the technique, and you tell us what is happening. Your next sentence starter, this is interesting because, is where your why goes. Why has the writer used this technique? Why is the writer showing us this? Finally, this is more of a personal point. As a reader, this makes me feel. This is where you can show the examiner that you understand the context of the piece of writing you are reading, and also it helps to show any questions that come to mind, showing that you understand where the writer wants their reader to go. Let me show you in this example. So I'm going to use the example of the zooming in on the cat's face with his evil smile. So this happened near the beginning of the text, just as we're moving towards the middle. So as a sentence starter, I would put, at the beginning, the writer moves our focus from the mouse and zooms in on the cat's face and how he has a pleased but evil smile. This is interesting because this shows that the cat has clear evil intentions and has not yet been spotted by the mouse, and thus begins to raise the tension. As a reader, this makes me feel worried for the safety of the mouse, and wonder if he will escape the cat's evil, clear attempts to catch him. You may want to have a go at some of the other images, be it from the Lord of the Rings or from the Tom and Jerry. So to summarise, Paper 1 question 3 is about structure and requires 4 key steps that need repeating in 2 paragraphs. 1. Name the technique. 2. Explain what exactly is happening at that point in the technique. 3. Why does the writer want us to know this particular piece of information? And 4. How does it make us feel as readers, and what specific question do we want answering? Make sure you are specific with your questions and not generalized. Statements such as, this makes the reader want to read on, or to find out if the characters will survive, are too generic. Be specific with what the threat is and who the characters are that are in danger or at risk. I hope this video has been helpful, and hopefully if you would like to see more, there are other videos available.